Hello everyone and welcome back to a new tutorial. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how to make an actual loading screen that will display a lot of information and also actually wait for everything in the game to load. Also, if you guys want to support me and want to have access to all of my project files from my very first tutorial to my latest one, including the one you're watching right now, they are all available on my Patreon in the $10 tier. Alright, so before we start making a loading screen, we need to know what our loading screen needs to be able to do. So there are 4 things we need our loading screen to do, and the first one is wait for everything to load, so it has to be a real loading screen, and the second thing is display how many assets were loaded, and the third thing is display the loading percentage, and the fourth and final thing is, well, polishing it with some nice animations. So what I'm going to do is firstly make the UI for the loading screen. So I'm going to add a screen GUI to start a GUI, and I'm going to rename it to loading screen. And then I'm going to add a frame to it, and I'm going to change the size of my frame. So I'm just going to type in size, and I'm going to put in 1,0,1,0, so that way we'll fill up the entire screen. And also, one thing I forgot to do is select the loading screen and make sure that ignore GUI inset is checked, or else there will be an ugly bar here and basically will not look good. So I'm going to select my frame and I'm going to keep it white, I think, and I'm going to rename it to main or background. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is add a I'm going to maybe add a frame, or maybe I'm going to add a text label, sorry, to the background. So I'm going to add a text label, and this is going to be the logo, the name of the game. Now this has to be a logo for you, so you could change it to an image label and put the game logo here, but I'm just going to change the text color property to true, and I'm going to change the text to game name or game title, and I'm going to change the font to Fredoka one, so Fredoka one, and I'm going to make it bold, actually no, and I'm going to change the text color to just a nice little gray. And I'm also going to convert this to scale, so I'm going to change its size to 0.1, 0.1, and then I'm going to resize it. So then you should be able to resize it, and the reason why we did that is because we converted the size to scale instead of using offset, so that if you go to mobile view, you should be able to see it. As you can see, it's scaled properly. So I'm going to rename this to game title, sorry, and I'm also going to add a bar that will display the percentage. So I'm going to add another frame to the background, and I'm going to call it bar background, and I'm going to change its size to 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, and then I'm going to be able to resize it, and it will use scale instead of offset, and I'm going to position it here. And one thing that I forgot to do is select my game title, and I'm going to go to the border size pixel and make it 0, and then I'm going to go back to my loading bar, and I'm also going to add a UI stroke to the game title, so a UI stroke, and I'm just going to make it thick just so that it looks like a logo. And of course, yeah, this is pretty ugly, but that's not how your game logo is going to look, probably. I'm not even going to add a UI stroke, it doesn't really matter. But what I'm going to do is select my bar, and I'm going to add a UI corner, and I'm going to set its corner radius to 0.1, and then I'm going to make the background color maybe a nice dark gray again. I'm going to copy this dark gray, so background color text color of this game title, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go back to my background, and I'm going to change the background color of this to that, and I'm also going to up the corner radius so that it looks a bit better, maybe 0.2 or maybe 0.3. And I think that looks good. And next thing I'm gonna do is inside of the bar background, make sure that it's inside of it. I'm gonna add another frame, and I'm going to change its position to 0, 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to change its size to maybe 0.5, 0, 1, 0. And that should make it look like this. And what I'm going to do is get the UI corner from the bar background and paste it inside of the frame. And I'm going to call this frame bar. And the next thing I'm going to do is, well, maybe change the background color of this to a nice gray. And almost, or maybe just white. And I'm going to add a UI gradient to it to make it look a bit better. So UI gradient. And I'm going to select my color of the UI gradient, and I'm going to make it start from a nice dark gray into a nice very dark gray. Actually, no, that really doesn't look good. Maybe it will. And then I'm going to change the rotation to 90 degrees. And maybe minus 90 degrees. Yeah, this looks better. I think it looks decent. But I'm also going to mess around with this. I'm going to make this a bit lighter. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, so I'm going to copy this UI gradient and paste it inside of the bar background. And I think it gives it, okay, the UI gradient, copy it, paste it inside of the UI background. And I think it makes it look a bit better. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a, I'm going to duplicate my game title, Control C, Control V, or Control D. I'm going to put it inside of the background. And I'm going to drag it down. And I'm going to change this background transparency to 1. And I'm going to change the text to 100%. And I'm going to put it somewhere here. I do think that putting it right here will look best. And I'm also going to rename it to display percentage. I'm going to make sure that I'm still recording, and yes I am. And I'm going to duplicate this display percentage, put it here, and I'm going to rename this one. Oh, is it even centered? Yes, it is. Okay. And I'm going to rename this to display, or I'm just going to change its text to assets or loading assets. And I'm just going to do this. 24 out of 1000. This is just an estimate. I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to change its name to display assets loaded. Alright, so now that we have our UI done, I'm just going to select my game title and change the background transparency to 1. And then I'm going to select my entire background or loading screen UI, and I'm going to drag it inside of replicated first. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a local script to replicate it first, and I'm going to call it loading screen script, not whatever I typed, script. And I'm going to drag my loading screen inside of the loading screen script. And what I'm going to do is get replicated first service. So local replicated first is equal to game, get service replicated first, and the content provider service, so local content provider is equal to game, get service content provider. And then I'm going to, well, maybe get tween service, so local tween service is equal to game, get service tween service. And then I'm going to get the player, or maybe players service, so local players is equal to game, get service players. And then I'm going to drop a line, and I'm going to get the player, so local player is equal to, well, players dot local player. And then we're gonna get the player GUI, so local player GUI is equal to player with child player GUI. And then I'm going to, okay, so we have the player GUI. And by the way, if you're wondering what player GUI is, it's just a folder. It's basically started GUI. Let me show you. If I play the game right now, there will be a folder inside of the player, and it's called player GUI, and this basically has all of the GUI stuff to display. That's all what it is. And what I'm going to do right here is replicate it first, remove default loading screen. Or actually, I'm going to cut this and I'm going to paste it here. And right here, I'm going to get the actual loading screen. Look, loading screen is equal to script calling for child loading screen. Alright, so now replicate the first column, remove default loading screen. Now that that's done, we're gonna get the amount of assets that are in the game. So local assets is equal to game to hashtag, or actually I think, okay, so hashtag game, or maybe, okay, game colon get descendants. Get descendants. Alright, so we have the assets, all of the assets inside of the game. So the scripts, the maps, parts, mesh parts, UI, all of the elements. And the next thing we need to do is loop through those assets. So I'm going to firstly clone the loading screen. So loading screen colon clone local cloned loading screen is equal to, and loading screen colon clone, and I'm going to do cloned loading screen dot parent is equal to, and player GUI. And then what I'm going to do is loop through all of the assets. So for I is equal to from 1 to hashtag assets do, and I'm going to firstly get the percentage, local percentage. And what I'm going to do is math.round, or maybe, okay, so math.round, and I'm going to take I divided by the amount of assets that we have. So we're just going to do I divided by the amount of assets that we have, and this is basically going to convert it to percentage, and I'm going to multiply it by 100, because if you divide this by the amount of assets, it will give you a very small number. So it will give you a number less than 1, so we're gonna multiply it by 100 and we'll round it, and it will basically give us a nice percentage. And the next thing I'm gonna do is, well, do content provider and I'm going to do preload async curly brackets, and I'm going to get the asset. So I'm gonna do asset. Oh, and I forgot to get the actual assets. So local asset is equal to, and assets square brackets I. And I'm pretty sure that will work. Okay, so assets square brackets I. Okay, that will work. So after preloading this, what I'm going to do is set the text of this. Okay, so the text of the display percentage, so loading screen, or cloned loading screen, sorry, dot display dot background dot display percentage dot text, and we'll set the text to, well, the percentage, and we will multiply it, actually dot percentage, sorry, percentage sign. And I'm going to make this a bit longer, so I'm going to do if I percentage, so if I divided by 5, if it's divisible by 5, then okay, so we're not use the modulus operator for this. So all this does is check if this is divisible by 5 and it has a remainder of 0. Well, then we're gonna wait. This is basically a way of making it wait to make the loading screen a bit faster, last a bit longer, sorry. And I'm going to do task.wait 0, just task.wait, and if I is equal to hashtag assets, then we're gonna wait 1 second. So task.wait 1 second. So all this does is check if we reached 100%, and it will wait 1 second, and then it will go on to do other stuff. But what I'm going to do right now is test this out. But in order for it to like load something and take a bit longer, is I'm going to get a random map from the toolbox. So I'm going to look for map, and I'm just going to get this. Now it has a script. I'm going to make sure to delete it. So I'm just going to look for script. I'm going to delete this script that I just added, and I'm going to get my spawn location, and I'm going to, well, zoom on it, and I'm going to position it on the map somewhere. And the next thing I'm going to do is play the game, and I'm going to see if this works. So if I play the game, as you can see, it shows the percentage correctly, and it reaches 100%. Okay, so it works. And what I'm going to do next is, well, display the amount of assets that are loaded. So display, okay, so this cloned loading screen, cloned loading screen dot background dot display assets loaded dot text is equal to assets. Okay, what is the text again? Text. So we have loading assets. Okay, loading assets, two dots, dot, and I'm going to put I and dot slash dot, and I'm going to put in the hashtag assets, and that should be it. That should work. And if you go ahead and play the game right now, that should work again. So as you can see, it says, as you can see, this looks pretty good. Yep, it works. And what I'm going to do is make the bar work. So this is also very easy. All you gotta do is do tween service create, and I'm going to take the loading screen dot or cloned loading screen dot bar or dot bar dot background dot bar background dot bar dot size is equal to or actually dot size, sorry, comma tween info dot new, and I'm just going to put in enum dot easing style dot sign and enum dot easing direction dot out, comma, and we're gonna give it the amount of time that it needs. And I'm sorry, but you gotta do this before enum dot easing style dot sign. I forgot, so I'm going to put in 0.2, and after that I'm going to put another comma. Make sure that the syntax is correct, that you're typing it exactly like I'm typing it. And I'm going to put the curly brackets, and I'm going to change the size, and I'm going to change the size to the percentage divided by, okay, so percentage divided by 100, comma 1, or actually, I'm really sorry about this, using 2 dot from scale, and just put in, just do using 2 dot from scale, and just put percentage divided by 100, comma 1, and in here I'm going to do colon play. Now that should work, and if you play, the bar should also work, and nothing works. Great. It doesn't really matter, we'll be able to fix this. Okay, so what's the problem? Oh, the problem is that I had a dot size here. Just get rid of that. And now it should work. And as you can see, it works. It goes up to 100%, but now we need a way to close off this loading screen. So what I'm going to do is, and I think the best way of doing this, the best looking way in my opinion, is basically just tween the transparency of everything. And I'm pretty sure you can do that by just changing the the transparency of everything. So after this loop and everything is loaded, we need to get rid of the loading screen. So for I, v in pairs, colon loading screen, colon get descendants, do. And what I'm going to do is, okay, so can you tween a UI gradient? Yes, you can. And you need to use a color sequence. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to get rid of the UI gradients. So I'm just going to drag this into start GUI, and I'm going to get the UI gradients, and I'm going to delete them, and this will just make things a bit easier for me. And I'm just going to change this like that, maybe something like that. Okay, good. This should look good. and I'm going to put it back inside of the loading screen script. And what I'm going to do is check if v-colon is a frame, then v or tween service create v comma tween info dot new 0.5 comma curly brackets background transparency is equal to 1, and play, and else if v-colon is a if it's a text label, then tween service create v comma tween info dot new maybe is 0.5 comma, and I'm just going to put in curly brackets. This time it's the text transparency. Now if you have a button and you want to, you could also tween the background transparency at this, but I'm pretty sure you get what I mean. If you have a UI stroke inside anything, you have to change the transparency of that too. So just add else if v-colon is a UI stroke, then just tween the transparency this time. And okay, so anyways, text transparency is equal to, and I'm just going to put it to 1, play. Alright, so this should work now. So if I go ahead and play, I really hope this is gonna work, and hopefully it will. And yes, it does. But I'm also going to change the I think I'm going to select the bar, and I'm going to change its size to 0, 0, 0, so that it starts from 0. And now if you play the game, yeah, that does look better. Also, if you want to speed up the process of loading, you could do this. Where is it? Here. Okay, you could make this a higher number. So if I put it at 15, just make sure to you know, if it's divisible by 15, I don't know how to explain this, but a higher number will make it load faster. Alright, so I'm going to put this back to something like 7. And if I play the game now, also make sure that it's an odd number, or else it will not work. So just make sure that it's an odd number. And what I'm going to do next is add a nice animation to the actual game title. So what I'm going to do is just make the game title bounce up and down, just a nice tween. So I'm just going to do tween service create, and I'm just going to put in loading screen dot background dot game title comma, and I'm going to tween info, the tween info dot new. The time I want it to take something like 0.6, and ease in style enum dot ease in style dot sign, ease in direction enum dot ease in direction dot in out, and the repeat count -1, so pretty much infinite. And after that, we just need, if we want it to reverse, and that should be true because I do want it to reverse. And that's pretty much it. And then we need to change the position. So the position, I'm going to change that to using 2 dot from scale. I'm pretty sure we are using scale. So the position, and we are going to tween the, okay, so I'm going to put in okay, so copy this, the reference to the game title, put it here, and I'm going to do position dot x comma, and I'm going to paste this in again, but this time dot position dot y, and plus 0.02. And if you play the game now, that should work, I think. And nothing works. And let's check why this is happening. Udem expected got number. Okay, so udem to dot from scale. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. Put in dot y dot scale and dot x dot scale, and make sure to play the tween too. So just play. That should look a bit better. And as you can see, the game title is now bouncing, but it's a bit too fast. So you could change that too by just changing the speed. So maybe like 1 second. That should look a bit better. And yes, it does look better. And as you can see, this works just fine. And we just got ourselves a clean, nice looking loading screen. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of the map, the entire map model, and play the game. And as you can see, it will load much faster. Oh, it didn't. One thing that's important that I forgot to mention is this. So make sure to have a repeat task.wait until game calling is loaded before getting all of the assets in the game, and that should work. And also, I'm going to make this a bit faster, so you could change this to 25 because it will be better. And I just dragged in a new map, and this time it will take the amount of parts that there are. Or you could also just get rid of this entirely if you have a map that's way too big. So you could just get rid of that, and it will be better. And as you can see, it does wait for everything to load in, but this time it will take a while because I have way too many assets loaded into this. So I could just get rid of this map. I'm just going to do that right now, and if I play the game now, as you can see, it will load much faster. Great. Okay, so we have a fully working loading screen. So if you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.